Hey guys, it's Miss Johnson and I'm here to bring you our second notes video for Unit 4. Today we're going to talk about how we factor trinomials. We're going to learn two different methods for factoring trinomials, and today is just the first one. We'll do the other method tomorrow, but today we're going to talk about how we would factor trinomials using the X method. First, I want to just bring us back to yesterday where we factored by grouping. We had four terms. And we would want to group the first two and group the last two. Take out the common factor. We'd have y minus 3 there. Take out the common factor here, you get a 4, and that's y minus 3. We know we've done it well when we have y minus 3 in both parts. Put those two outsides together, and the insides make the other factor. The factors are multiplied together, so there's nothing between them as far as operation goes. It's multiplication, and that's our factored form. In number 2, here's my two groups. Put that minus in with the 3, so the 3 is negative. Your GCF in the first one, I can take a 6 out of 18 and 30, so that's going to be a 6x. 6x and then 3x minus 5. And here, I want a positive 3x and a negative 5. Right now I have a negative 3x and a positive 5, so I need to take out a negative 1. And that'll give me a positive 3x minus 5, so that then my insides match. So 6x minus 1, put those outsides together, insides make the other factor, and that's our factored form. Now, factoring by grouping was all fine and well when we had four terms, but what happens when we're given a trinomial? Think of the word tri, that's that prefix in front of the trinomial. Tri means 3. If we have a trinomial, it means we have 3 terms, and we can't factor it as it is with 3 terms, so we have to do a little bit of work to turn it into 4 terms and then factor it from there. So here's our steps. The first thing, always check for a GCF. That's always going to be the first thing that we do. Take that GCF out if you can. After you take the GCF out, then you're going to multiply the first and the last term. That A, or I should say the first and the last coefficient. So that A coefficient and the C constant at the end, you're going to multiply those two together. Those two are going to be at the top of your X, and I'll show you what that setup looks like, and you put the B term on the bottom. So A times C goes up here at the top, B goes at the bottom. And again, we're going to do lots of practice with these, so it's going to be okay. We'll see lots of examples. Then we need to find two numbers that multiply to the A times C and add to the B at the same time. So those two numbers need to do those two functions at the same time. They need to multiply to AC and add to the B at the same time. We'll split the B term into those two new factors that we find. We're going to put those in the outside of the X. So we'll split up B and put those new factors in its place. So then our B term is going to get split into 2, which gives us 4 terms instead of 3. Right now I have 3 terms. I'm going to split that B up so that I have 4 terms. Once I have 4 terms, I factor by grouping. So I just have to strategically figure out how to split that middle term. That's really what I'm trying to do here, because I can't factor with 3 terms, so I want to split it into 4 and then factor by grouping from there. So let's talk about let's do some examples. In number 3, I have 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. So set up an x off to the side here. You want enough room to write some numbers in the x, so you need to make it a decent size. It's not going to be an x like the variable. You kind of want it to be a little bit bigger than that. So the top, 5 times 6 gives me 30, and the bottom is the b term, 13. Again, that's a times c, and that's b. Now, these are the two numbers that I'm finding. I need two numbers that multiply to 30 and add to 13. Add to 13, multiply to 30. And my two numbers that do that are 10 and 3. 10 times 3 gives me 30. 10 plus 3 gives me 13. Now, if you struggle coming up with that, you can make yourself a little list. I like to look at the number I'm multiplying to and think of all the things that multiply to 30. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5, and 6. Those are all numbers that multiply to 30. If I add them, that's a 31, that's a 17, that's a 13, and that's an 11. So you can see that 3 and 10 is the pair that I'm looking for. So now I need to split the middle term. So I'm going to keep this and I'm going to keep that. I'm keeping the first and the last, but I'm splitting up the middle. And I'm putting 10x plus 3x in the middle. No, those x's come from the fact that all I'm doing is strategically splitting that 13x. 13x is going to split apart into 10x plus 3x because I haven't changed my expression then. 10x plus 3x is 13x. All I've done is strategically split it apart because now once I've split it apart, I can group them together like I did all day yesterday and factor by grouping. Here I can take out a 5x, so that's x plus 2. There I can take out a 3. 3 on the outside leaves me with x plus 2 on the inside. Insides match, put the outsides together, and the insides make the other pair. That's my factored form. So again, let's just recap that a little bit. The only purpose for this whole x up here is just to figure out what I strategically need to split that middle term into so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms that can then be grouped and factored from there. Okay, so I'm given a trinomial, I need to split the middle somehow, but I need to split it in a smart way that's going to allow me to keep factoring it. So let's try this in number 4. In number 4, I want to start by setting up that x. So my a times c, that's 7 times 4, which is 28. My b term is 29. So I need a product of 28 and a sum of 29. That's going to be 1 and 28. 1 times 28 is 28. 1 plus 28 is 29. So now I split that middle term. I'm going to keep this 7x squared. I'm going to split the middle into these two, plus 1x plus 28x, and then I keep the 4 at the end. Now I have 4 terms. Now I can group it apart. So from the first group, all I can take out is an x. From the second group, I can take out a 4. Oops, that's a 7x plus 1. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And then when I put those two together, x plus 4 times 7x plus 1, and that's my factored form. So all of this stuff from here on down, that's just the factoring by grouping. That's all the stuff that we did in lesson 1. Factor by grouping. Group the two terms, group the first two, group the last two, take out the GCFs, check that the insides match, put your factors together, okay? The stuff that we're doing that's new today is strategically figuring out how to split that middle term. That's what I'm really working on today. All right, let's move on. Let's try number 5. In number 5, I have x squared minus 10x plus 16. So I need to set up an x. My a term here, or my a coefficient, I should say, my a coefficient is 1. 1 times 16 gives me 16. The b term, be careful that you don't drop that negative, is a negative 10. So I want a product of positive 16, but a sum of negative 10. If I'm getting a positive product but a negative sum, these both have to be negative, because that's the only way I'm going to get a positive product. I have to have a negative 8 and a negative 2 here. That's going to be my best option. And again, you can set yourself up a little list and think of all the things that multiply to positive 16 so that you can figure out which one gets you to that negative 10. So I'm going to split off that 10x. Keep the x squared. X squared. Put the negative 8x and negative 2x in its place. Negative 8x minus 2x. Keep the 16. So I keep the first term, I keep the last term, but I split off that 10 in the middle, and then I don't need the 10 anymore. Because I put the negative 8 minus 2 in its spot, and negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10, so I haven't changed the expression at all. All right, I've got 4 terms now, group them off. Here's my x, I get x minus 8. Over here, I want a positive x and a negative 8. I know I need to take out a 2, but since this is negative and that's positive, and I want to change that into positive and then negative, I need to bring the negative with it. So negative 2 and then x minus 8. I get x minus 2 and x minus 8. There's my factored form. Number 6, set up your x off to the side. 1 times negative 18 is negative 18. Middle term, negative 7. So now I want a negative product. If I want a negative product, that means I have one of each. I have to have one positive and one negative. So it's a little different because you're almost thinking of subtraction here. If I think of things that multiply to 18, I'm looking at 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Those are my options. But again, you want a negative sum, so you have to kind of think of one of these as being negative. If I made the first row negative, this would give me, I didn't give myself enough space here, let's move that over. That first one would give me, if I added those up, a 17. This one would give me a 7, negative 2 and 9. This one would give me a 3. If I flip those, 1 and negative 18, that's a negative 17. 2 and negative 9, that's a negative 7. 3 and negative 6, that's a negative 3. So negative 7 is the one that I want, which means 2 and negative 9 are my options. So again, you just get a little creative on how you split those, especially when you're working with a negative product. You're going to want to take some time to figure out what adds to give you a negative product. You're going to have one positive and one negative. All right, I'm going to slide this out of the way and make myself some room. Just put it down here for now. And now I know what I'm splitting the middle into. I need to split that middle. So I have 1x squared into 2x minus 9x minus 18. So I keep the negative 18, I keep the x squared, and I get rid of the negative 7 in the middle, split it into the 2 minus 9. Group those two, take an x out, and you get x plus 2. Group those two, remember that 9 is negative. I'm going to take a negative 9 out here and give myself x plus 2. X minus 9, x plus 2. That's what I'm looking at. All right. Let's try number 7. 3x squared plus 11x minus 4. Set up your x off to the side. So that's a negative 12. That's a positive 11. So here's a negative product again. Negative product means one of each, one positive, one negative. If I want a positive 11, my options here have to be 12 and negative 1. 12 minus 1 gives me 11. 12 times negative 1 gives me negative 12. And by the way, I got that negative 12 by multiplying 3 times negative 4. So now, get rid of the 11, split it off. 3x squared plus 12x minus 1x minus 4. I put the 12x and the negative 1x in its spot. Put that negative in with the 1, make sure it stays there, and group them off. So the first group I can take out a 3 and an x, and that leaves me with x plus 4. Second group, I don't have a GCF other than 1, except that I need to bring that negative out with it, so I'm going to make it a negative 1, so that I have an x plus 4 inside. 3x minus 1, x plus 4, and there you have it, factored form. All right, one more before we talk about GCFs for a little bit. So 1 times 2 is 2. Sum 3. Now it seems funny to get a sum that's bigger than the product, but really that just means factoring in a 1 here. If I have a 1 and a 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3. So get rid of the 3x in the middle and split that off. I'm going to have x squared plus 1x plus 2x plus 2. We all know that writing the 1 in front of the x doesn't make a difference, but if it helps you to recognize that it's there, you can go ahead and write it in. So this first group, all I can take out is an x, and that leaves me with x plus 1. Second group, I can take out a 2. Leaves me with x plus 2. I'm left with x plus 2, x plus, oh, hello, 2 divided by 2 is 1. My apologies. X plus 1 there. That's what's going to make those match. Hello. And there's my factored form. So the purpose of the setting up this x, what we call the x, so we don't really have a better name for it, that's the purpose of this, is just to figure out what am I going to take that middle term and split it into. That's my goal there, so that I can take the trinomial and turn it into a polynomial with 4 terms that can then be grouped. Now let's just talk about if we have a GCF involved. When we're factoring with a GCF, all we got to do is take the GCF out first. That is the necessity. So divide the GCF out first, then you factor whatever's left, and then you just write the GCF in front of the factors that are right behind it. But make sure you take the GCF out first and then factor the remaining expression. All right, take a look at number 9. So in number 9, I have 10y squared minus 35y plus 30. And if I look at those 3 coefficients, 10, negative 35, and 30, I know that I can take out a 5. So I'm going to divide the 5 out first. That leaves me with 2y squared minus 7y plus 6. Now, one way, it's very, very common. This 5 is actually part of your factored expression. It's very common to lose that 5 at the end and forget to put it on with your answer. So one thing I like to do is I like to circle it and just draw an arrow down so that I know when I do all the other factoring in here, I've got a 5 that's going to be with my factored form down below. Now you might not want to set that piece up yet, but I just wanted you to see that that's what we're looking at. So circle the 5, bring it all the way down, and now let's factor the inside. So when I factor the inside, I'm going to factor this that's left. I need to set up that x. 2 times 6 is 12, and negative 7. That means I need a negative 3 and a negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. Split the middle. 2y squared minus 3y minus 4y plus 6. Group them off, keep that negative with the 4. All I can do there is a y. So I have y out front, 2y behind, minus 3. And then over here, I can take out a 2, but I want positive, negative, and right now I have negative, positive, so I need to take out a negative 2. So that gives me 2y minus 3. They match. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. So I have y minus 2, 2y minus 3, and then I need to make sure that I put that 5 that was part of the original expression back in the front. So I just write that GCF out front, write the factors behind, and that's my factored expression. That's what we call factoring completely, taking everything apart that we can. Now, if you wouldn't have recognized that you could take out a GCF there, you might have ended up with factors that looked like 5y minus 10, and then 2y minus 3. This 5y minus 10, they better not have anything in common. Since 5y and 10 have something in common, you know you did not factor it completely. If I look at this factored form, y and 2 don't have anything in common. 2y and 3 don't have anything in common. So I know I've taken out all of the factors that I can. Okay, last question. 3x squared plus 24x plus 45. Oh no, not last question, sorry. A couple more. So first thing I recognize here is a GCF of 3. So I'm going to take that out first. Divide by 3. That leaves me with x squared plus 8x plus 15. Then this 3 is going to come down and be part of the answer. The rest of it, I want to set up my factoring x. So 1 times 15 is 15. In the middle, I have an 8. Product of 15 and sum of 8 is 5 and 3. 5 times 15 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. Get rid of that. Split that off. X squared plus 8x plus 3x plus 15. And group them. Oops, 15. There we go. Take your x out. X plus, oh my goodness, not 8x. hello, sorry. That's not an 8 anymore, that's a 5. That's why that wasn't looking right. Okay, try that again, sorry. Take the x out and I get x plus 5. Over here, take the 3 out and I get x plus 5. Now, insides match. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I took an x out. 5x divided by x is 5. I'm good. X plus 3 is one factor. X plus a 5 is another factor. And the original 3 that was the GCF is another factor that I have to have outside. There's my factored form. 2 more questions. 6x squared plus 5x minus 6. Now, when I look at that, 6, 5, and negative 6 do not have anything in common, so there's not a GCF that I can take out here. So I'm just going to factor it as it is. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36, and in the middle I have a 5. So that gives me a negative 9 and a positive 9 and negative 4. That's what I need. Positive 9, negative 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. Break apart that 5. 6x squared plus 9x minus 4x minus 6. Group them. And I have a 3x that comes out of that first one with 2x plus 3 behind, and a negative 2 that comes out of that second one with a 2x plus 3 behind. That's 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 3. And there we go. Last one, 6x squared minus 14x minus 12. GCF here, I can take out a 2. Let's take the 2 out, and that leaves me with 3x squared minus 7x minus 6. Had to think about that. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Hello. Set up your x. So in this case, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. And I want a negative 7 sum. That's negative 9 and positive 2. So we'll get rid of this. Remember that that 2 needs to be part of your answer at the bottom. 3x squared minus 9x plus 2x minus 6. Group and group, here we go. This can be a 3x. If you weren't good at GCFs before, you're going to get good at them now. Plus 2, x minus 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We got it. X minus 3, x minus 3. 3x plus 2, x minus 3. Original GCF out front. There's my factored expression. All right. That is all that we have for today's notes, and thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.